We'll do a couple of the auto binder reports. 19th century's most outstanding sighting was in 1874 at Oaxaca, Mexico, where a giant trumpet hovered in the sky, swinging gently for 6 minutes, observed by many stunned people. Back in 1874, this is being reported. Oaxaca, Mexico has a history of UFO sightings. Here's my color rendering of what this might look like, observed for 6 minutes by many of the people that time. October 26, 1966, 5 p.m., as reported by Miss C. Clark of Fort Wayne, Indiana, a strange football hovered over a newspaper plant whose stacking machinery went temporarily out of order as an EM effect, electromagnetic ray, came from the UFO. So here we've got a report in 1966 where it's a CE2 because it had effects on its physical environment, where it shut down the newspaper plant back in 1966. Here's our full color rendering of a football-shaped craft. Now this same craft or something very similar was seen during the quote-unquote smog case in Michigan at the same time frame. That was seen as well. A football-shaped craft was identified as well. September 9th, 1968, Dong Ha, Vietnam, a helicopter crew of the U.S. knew it was no Viet Cong craft that made fantastic maneuvers through the sky for 20 minutes, but was a genuine UFO. So even our pilots saw this thing in Vietnam in 68. They saw these UFOs. That's being reported September 28th, September of 1968. December 21st, 1964. This is an interesting case. Fisherville, Virginia, while driving, Horace Burns saw a giant UFO shaped like a beehive with a dome on top measuring 120 feet in diameter and 80 to 90 feet high. He saw it land for a while, then flew away. So we've got this beehive-shaped UFO being reported in 1964. Is there any evidence for this? Here's our full color rendering here of what this craft may have actually looked like. The post-crescent, April 21st, 1968, flying saucers, cigar triangles, even beehives have been reported. So even this article talks about they're confirming that the beehives have been reported. Here is the News Ledger, October 3rd, 2016. So I want to document where I'm getting this information. They have an enlargement. We'll go ahead and do the enlargement, and you can see here what this craft actually looked like. This is 1964. Who's flying 120-foot diameter beehive-shaped UFOs back in 1964? And we'll go to the report here. On December 21st, 1964, Horace Burns drove his 1958 Mercury station wagon east on Route 250 near Fishersville. He saw a huge metallic object fly over from the north. It crossed Route 250 about 1/4 mile west of Woodrow Wilson Rehab Center and landed in a field to his right, just as his car cut off and he drifted to a stop. So right there, it's a CE2 case because it had physical effects. Burns described the object as 120 feet in diameter and 80 to 90 feet tall. It was shaped like a beehive with no visible portholes, wings, or seams. He watched as it rested for 60 to 90 seconds, then rose up, tilted, and flew northeast. Shaken, he restarted his car and drove home. Another point I want to make here is when these craft depart, I've got 12 other cases now, which seems to be a pattern here. Whenever these craft are like powering up and they're departing the vicinity of an eyewitness, they always make these tilting maneuvers, or they make these wobbling maneuvers like a fluttering leaf, and then they stabilize and then they depart at a high rate of speed. This has been happening again and again throughout history of these UFOs departing the vicinity of an eyewitness case. January 20th, 1951, near Sioux City, Iowa, a huge cigar-shaped UFO zoomed straight at an airliner, then incredibly made a sharp hairpin turn and sped back toward the way it had come, all in short seconds. So these large cigar-shaped craft, 1951. Here's our full color rendering of what that looks like. Is there any evidence? Here's Flying Saucer News. This is summer 1955. They go into detail on a similar case where a 4-engine prop liner had an interaction with a cigar-shaped craft. This is all back in 1955. Who's flying these? Who's building these in 1955? May 1968, 10:30 p.m., camping out with a friend, Joseph Plazo of Elira, New York, Ohio, saw amazing skull-shaped UFO surrounded by flames, which flashed down an intense searchlight beam for several minutes before it flew away. Now, I've looked in the archives. I've never seen any other case that had this skull-shaped craft prior to 1968, after 1968. So I think this is really an unprecedented case. So